Okay, so maybe you're thinking about becoming a machine learning engineer,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. Building the AI of the future. That's exciting stuff.
Right.
But I bet you want more than just hype. You want like the real roadmap.
Yeah.
You want those actual skills and insights you need
Yeah.
to like break into this field.
Absolutely. And that's
Right.
that's what we're diving into today with the help of Max Mynter.
Okay.
He's a full stack ML engineer who's been blogging about his experiences.
Very cool.
And what's so refreshing about Max's perspective is that he's not coming from academia.
Yeah.
He's out there, in the trenches, building the systems that
The real world.
power our AI-driven world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love that. No ivory tower here.
No.
So let's unpack this. Starting with the question that I think trips people up a lot.
Sure.
What is an ML engineer really? I mean, is it the same as a data scientist?
Right.
What about all those other titles out there, like AI specialist or ML researcher?
It can definitely get confusing.
Yeah.
Max starts by tackling this head on. He makes a clear distinction
Between an ML engineer and an ML researcher.
Oh.
Researchers often focus on pushing the theoretical boundaries of what's possible,
Yeah.
which is super important, but their work might not have immediate real-world applications.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
So that's where the ML engineer steps in.
Right.
To take those cutting-edge ideas and turn them into tangible solutions.
Exactly. It's about building products, optimizing systems,
Okay.
and ultimately delivering value for businesses.
Makes sense.
And
All right.
here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The first skill Max highlights as absolutely crucial for ML engineers might surprise you.
Okay. I'm ready to be surprised.
Okay.
Lay it on me.
It's not just about knowing Python or any specific programming language.
Yeah.
It's about having strong software engineering chops.
Okay, now that IS is surprising.
It is.
I think a lot of people assume that ML is all about mastering algorithms and data.
Yeah.
So why is software engineering so important for these aspiring ML engineers out there? Because in the real world, it's not enough to just build a model in a vacuum.
Right.
You need to build robust, scalable systems that can handle massive data sets.
Okay.
Systems that can be deployed, maintained, and integrated with other software.
So it's like the difference between sketching a cool gadget on a napkin
Right.
and actually engineering it for mass production.
Yeah.
With all the complexities that come with that.
A perfect analogy. And Max points out that strong software engineering skills are essential for speeding up the experimentation process, which is key in ML.
Right.
Think about it. If you can quickly prototype test and iterate on your models,
Yeah.
you're going to discover what works best much faster.
Makes total sense.
Right. And gives you a huge advantage in a fast-paced field like AI.
Exactly.
This reminds me of that quote by Greg Brockman, CTO of OpenAI.
Right.
He said something like, "It's easier to teach a great software engineer to do ML
Yeah.
than to teach an ML expert to be a great software engineer."
100%. He hit the nail on the head.
Solid coding skills are like a superpower in the world of AI.
Music to all those coding wizards' ears out there.
Right.
Okay, so software engineering is a must-have.
Yes.
But obviously, you can't have machine learning without data.
Of course not.
Right.
No.
What does Max say about those data science skills that every ML engineer needs?
He emphasizes the importance of really understanding your data.
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about crunching numbers or running statistical analyses.
Yeah.
It's about developing a deep, intuitive understanding of what the data represents,
Okay.
the subtle nuances, the potential biases,
Right.
and how it relates to the real-world problem you're trying to solve.
So you're saying it's not enough to just be a data janitor,
Right.
blindly cleaning and processing data sets.
Right. You need to be more like a data detective.
Okay. I like that.
Right.
A data detective uncovering the hidden stories.
Exactly.
And potential pitfalls within the data itself.
Yes. And Max even says that some of the trickiest bugs he's encountered haven't come from messy code, but from subtle issues within the data itself.
Wow.
It's like having the most amazing recipe in the world.
Okay.
But if your ingredients are off,
Right.
the dish is going to be a disaster, no matter how skilled you are as a chef.
Such a good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So we've got the software engineering side.
Right.
We've got the data side.
Yep.
But what about the math? Do you need to be a calculus wizard to be an ML engineer?
Well, the good news is
I'm ready.
you don't need to be a full-time mathematician.
Okay, good. Right. That's relief.
But understanding the fundamentals of certain areas is still crucial
Right.
for choosing the right algorithms and making sense of your results.
So it's more about knowing which tool to use for the job
Yes.
than being able to, like, build the tool yourself.
Precisely.
Okay, I like that.
Max specifically mentions calculus, linear algebra, and probability theory as being essential.
Right.
And if you're working with massive data sets,
Yeah.
knowledge of numerical methods and optimization theory is a definite plus. But again, it's all about applying these concepts practically,
Got it.
not just memorizing formulas.
So not about being a math genius,
No.
just about having a solid grasp of the core concepts.
That's it?
Okay, so we've got software engineering.
Yes.
We've got data science.
Right.
We've got math. Anything else?
Well,
Or can we all start applying for ML engineer jobs now?
well, Max does add one more crucial ingredient to the mix.
Okay, what's that?
Domain expertise.
Domain expertise. So understanding the specific field that you're working in.
You got it. Let's say you're building a healthcare app using machine learning.
Okay.
Having a deep understanding of healthcare data, medical terminology,
Right.
and the challenges faced by doctors and patients, that's going to give you a huge advantage
Right.
over someone who only understands the technical side.
So it's not just about building algorithms.
Right.
It's about understanding the why behind the data
Exactly.
and how those insights can be used to solve real-world problems in a specific field.
Absolutely. And this is where the true mastery of ML engineering comes in.
Okay.
Bridging the gap between the technical and the practical. Using your skills to make a real-world impact.
This is all incredibly insightful,
Good.
but it begs the question,
Okay.
how do you actually acquire this blend of skills
Right.
to become a successful ML engineer? Is it back to school for another degree?
That's the question, isn't it?
Are boot camps the answer?
Oh,
Or are we talking about countless all-nighters
Right.
with textbooks and online courses?
Max outlines two main paths.
Okay.
And interestingly, he favors the software engineer first route,
Right.
especially for self-learners.
Interesting. Why does he recommend that approach?
Okay.
And what's the alternative path?
So the second path is more of the traditional data science route,
Yeah.
where you focus heavily on the math and data analysis
Yeah.
and then layer on software engineering skills later.
Okay.
However, Max argues that if you're learning independently,
Right.
starting as a software engineer makes you valuable to companies right away.
That makes sense. You can start contributing and gaining experience
Exactly.
while simultaneously building your ML expertise on the side.
It's like, why wait to be a full-fledged chef when you can start as a line cook?
I love that analogy.
Right.
Learning the ropes, gaining experience while you're mastering new dishes
Exactly.
on the side.
On the side.
And in a rapidly evolving field like machine learning,
Right.
that hands-on experience can be invaluable.
Absolutely.
So for those ready to embark on this software engineer first journey, what does Max recommend?
He provides a roadmap with concrete resources, online courses, books, you name it.
Lay it on us.
He mentions a few eye-catching ones like Harvard's CS50 for learning to code.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one's great.
Yeah, and of course, Andrew Ng's courses on machine learning,
The legend.
which are pretty much legendary at this point.
Yes.
He also suggests diving deeper into Python and exploring specific areas like deep learning.
Okay, so a good mix of foundational and then more specialized resources.
Exactly. But what's important to remember
Yeah.
is that this isn't a one-size-fits-all prescription.
Of course.
Right.
Everyone learns differently.
It's more about choosing the learning methods that resonate with you.
Right. Some people thrive in structured courses, while others learn best by diving into projects.
Exactly.
It's about finding what works for you and being consistent,
Yep,
right?
absolutely. The key is to gain the skills however you learn most effectively.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So Max has given us the inside scoop on what it takes to be an ML engineer,
Yes.
from the specific skills needed to the different paths that you can take
Right.
to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the big picture? Where does ML fit into like the grand scheme of things?
Right.
What's the overall impact and potential of this field?
That's where our Wikipedia excerpt comes in handy.
Oh, perfect.
It gives us a broader perspective on the field,
Okay.
highlighting just how pervasive machine learning has become.
I like it. So it's not just about building the next cool AI assistant.
Not at all.
Okay, tell me more.
Machine learning is everywhere, from healthcare to finance, from
Right.
art history to agriculture. It's transforming how we live, work, and understand the world around us.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I had no idea machine learning was being used to study fine art.
It's pretty amazing.
Right.
Yes.
That's incredible. Who knew algorithms could have such an appreciation for aesthetics?
It just goes to show how versatile these tools are. Think about it.
Okay.
Algorithms can analyze brushstrokes, color palettes, and even detect subtle artistic influences to help authenticate paintings.
That's wild. Like giving art historians this whole new set of eyes.
Exactly.
But with all this talk about algorithms and data,
Right.
it's easy to forget that there are real people behind all of this.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I appreciate about Max's perspective.
What is that?
He doesn't shy away from the human side of ML engineering. He talks about the importance of understanding the users of the systems that you're building. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he stresses that whether you're developing like a recommendation engine for a streaming service
Okay.
or a diagnostic tool for doctors, you need to consider the needs and perspectives of the people who will be interacting with your creation.
So it's not just about the cold, hard data.
Yeah.
It's about empathy and understanding human behavior as well.
Exactly. You need to ask yourself,
Yeah.
who are the end users? What are their pain points?
Right.
How can I design this system to be not only effective, but also intuitive and user-friendly?
Right. It's like you wouldn't design a car without considering the driver.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this ties into the idea of building systems that are reliable, fair and unbiased.
Okay.
Right? We want to make sure that our AI systems are being used for good
Right. Of course.
and that they don't perpetuate harmful biases.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So we talked about the skills needed. We talked about the importance of this human element.
Right.
But what about the fuel that powers these ML models?
Okay.
The data itself. Right. That's another crucial point that both Max and the Wikipedia excerpt highlight.
Yeah, what's that?
You can't have machine learning without, well, data to learn from.
You can't train a machine learning model on an empty stomach
That's right.
or an empty data set for that matter.
Exactly. But it's not just about quantity. It's about quality, too.
Makes sense.
Max emphasizes that the data needs to be representative
Okay.
of the real-world scenarios your model will encounter.
So if you're building a self-driving car, you wouldn't just train it on sunny California highways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'd need to expose it to all sorts of driving conditions.
Right, like rain,
Rain, snow,
city traffic,
traffic, you name it.
potholes.
Otherwise, your model won't be able to generalize well to new situations.
Right, and that could have disastrous consequences.
Exactly.
So getting the right data is absolutely crucial.
It is.
But even with the right data, things can still go wrong, right?
It can.
What was it Max said about overfitting?
Ah, yes, overfitting. It's a common pitfall in machine learning. Imagine a student who memorizes the answers to a test,
Okay.
but doesn't actually understand the material.
Been that student,
Right.
aced the test.
Yeah.
But then completely blanked when I had to solve similar problems on my own.
That's essentially what happens with an overfitted model.
Oh, no.
It performs brilliantly on the data that it's already seen,
Right.
but fails miserably when confronted with new, unseen data.
It's like it hasn't actually learned.
It hasn't learned.
It's just memorized.
It's like it's learned the answers by heart, but it doesn't actually understand the underlying concepts.
Yeah, so how do you prevent your model from becoming a test-taking robot
Right.
that crumbles in the real world?
Well, Max mentions a couple of techniques: regularization and cross-validation.
Go.
Regularization is like pinning guardrails on your model.
Okay, I like that.
Right. It prevents it from becoming too complex and specialized to the training data.
So instead of memorizing every tiny detail, it learns to focus on the bigger picture.
Exactly, the underlying patterns.
Got it.
And then there's cross-validation.
Okay,
It's like giving your model a series of practice tests before the real deal.
I like it.
You split your data into subsets, train the model on some, and then test it on the others.
Okay.
This way, you get a more realistic assessment of how well your model will generalize to new data.
That makes sense. So it sounds like becoming an ML engineer
Yeah.
is this constant process of learning, experimenting, and refining your approach.
It is.
There are so many factors to consider, from the quality of your data to this potential for overfitting.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that makes it such an exciting field to be in.
Right.
There's always something new to learn, a new challenge to tackle.
And as our Wikipedia excerpt shows,
Yes,
there are endless possibilities for applying these skills to make a real impact in the world.
that's right. From developing life-saving medical technologies to building systems that help us understand our planet better.
Yeah.
The potential is truly vast.
That's amazing. Okay, so we covered a lot of ground here, from the specific skills needed to these ethical considerations and the importance of having the right data.
Right.
But before we wrap things up, I want to get back to something Max said
Sure.
about those two paths into ML engineering.
Okay.
The software engineer first route and the data science route.
Right.
He seemed to favor the former,
He did.
especially for self-learners.
Yeah.
But how do you actually make that transition?
Right.
If you're starting out as a software engineer, how do you start incorporating those ML skills into your work?
That's a great question. And it's something a lot of people are probably wondering about.
For sure. It's one thing to learn about machine learning in your free time.
Right.
But how do you actually start applying it in a professional setting?
Well, Max suggests a few strategies.
Okay.
First, he recommends looking for opportunities within your current company.
Okay.
Maybe there's a team working on a project that involves machine learning.
Right.
Or maybe you can identify a problem within your own work
Okay.
that could benefit from an ML solution.
So it's about being proactive and looking for ways to integrate those skills
Yes.
into your existing role.
Exactly. And even if you can't find a direct application right away,
Right.
you can still start building your expertise.
Okay. How do you do that?
Max mentions contributing to open source ML projects as a great way to gain experience
Yeah.
and learn from others in the field.
It's like doing an apprenticeship in the world of machine learning.
A great analogy. And it allows you to build a portfolio of work
Right.
that you can showcase to potential employers.
That makes a lot of sense. So even if you're not working on ML full-time,
Right.
you can still be actively developing your skills and gaining valuable experience.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And as you build your expertise, you can start looking for more specialized roles.
Right.
Max points out that many companies are looking for software engineers
Yeah.
with a strong understanding of machine learning.
Right.
So your skills will be in high demand.
Absolutely.
That's encouraging to hear. So it's really a matter of taking those initial steps.
Right.
Building your knowledge base.
Yes.
And then gradually transitioning into a more focused ML role.
That's a great summary. It's a journey, not a sprint.
I like that.
Yeah. Right.
It's a journey, not a sprint.
And the key is to be persistent. Keep learning and stay curious.
Love it.
Always be on the lookout for new opportunities to apply your skills.
Yeah.
And deepen your understanding of this ever-evolving field.
It's a journey, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
That really ties into what stood out to me most from both Max's blog post
Okay.
and the Wikipedia entry.
What's that?
It's easy to get caught up in the hype surrounding AI and machine learning.
It is.
But ultimately, it's about building that solid foundation of skills,
Yeah.
understanding your data, and applying those tools thoughtfully.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's not about chasing the latest shiny algorithm
Right.
or trying to build a sentient robot. It's about using these powerful techniques to solve real-world problems.
And it seems like that requires this blend of technical expertise,
Yeah.
domain knowledge, and a healthy dose of human empathy.
Precisely. The most successful ML engineers are not just coders or mathematicians.
Right.
They're problem solvers, critical thinkers,
Yeah.
and collaborators who understand the broader context of their work.
So important. So for those listening who are considering a career in ML engineering,
Yes.
what's the one key takeaway you would leave them with?
I would say this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Don't be intimidated by the complexity of the field.
Okay.
Focus on building that strong foundation in
Okay.
software engineering and data analysis.
Yes.
Be curious, be persistent, and don't be afraid to experiment.
Wise words.
Yeah,
And as we've seen, there are amazing resources available,
there are.
both online and in traditional academic settings, to help you along the way.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a sprint.
There it is again.
Enjoy the process of learning.
I love it.
Explore different areas of machine learning that spark your interest. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
And who knows?
Right.
Maybe someday you'll be the one sharing your expertise and inspiring others to join this incredible field.
Now, here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked about the importance of understanding the users of ML systems,
Right.
but what about the long-term impact of these systems on society as a whole?
Oh, that's interesting.
As machine learning becomes more and more integrated into our lives,
Right.
how can we ensure that it's used for good, that it promotes fairness and equity,
Yeah.
and that it helps us build a better future for everyone?
Wow.
That's something worth thinking about as you embark on your ML journey.
That's a huge EE question, isn't it?
It is. It's not just about building the technology. It's about making sure it's used ethically.
Exactly. And that's something that I think every generation of ML engineers
Right.
is going to have to grapple with
Absolutely.
as the field evolves.
As it becomes more powerful.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility,
It is.
but also a really exciting opportunity to shape the future.
100%. And it all starts with awareness.
Right.
asking those tough questions,
Yeah.
being willing to think about those implications.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into ML engineering,
Right.
I have to say I'm feeling a mix of excitement
Yeah,
and like a healthy dose of awe.
I hear you.
It's one thing to read about machine learning in the abstract,
Right.
but it's another to really grasp the depth and breadth of its impact
Yeah.
on the world.
Absolutely.
And what's been so valuable about this deep dive is that I feel like we haven't just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We've gone beyond the hype
Right.
and the
The
buzzwords
vague stuff.
to uncover those real skills and insights
Yes.
that these aspiring ML engineers need to succeed.
100%. We've talked about software engineering,
Yeah.
the nuances of data, understanding the role of domain expertise.
Right.
And we've also explored that human side,
Yes.
the importance of empathy, ethics, and building systems that benefit society.
And we've done all of this through the lens of Max's real-world experience,
Exactly.
which has made it, I think, all the more relatable for our listeners.
For sure. And I think that's a key takeaway.
What is that?
The path to becoming a successful ML engineer
Okay.
isn't about following a set of rules
Right.
or chasing the latest trends.
Okay.
It's about developing that deep understanding,
Right.
embracing that human element, and being passionate about using these tools to make a positive impact.
Beautifully said.
Right.
It's about combining that technical mastery with a sense of purpose
Yes.
and a commitment to ethical practices.
100%. For those of you listening who are just starting out on your ML journey,
Yeah.
remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a journey, not a sprint.
Pace yourself. Find learning methods that work for you,
Right.
and never stop exploring those possibilities.
You got it. And never be afraid to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and keep learning.
Right.
Right? That's how real innovation happens.
Exactly.
On that inspiring note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
As always, happy to dive into AI and machine learning.
To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has left you feeling informed,
Yeah.
inspired, and ready to take on the exciting challenges of building that AI-powered future.
And remember, the future of AI is not predetermined.
Ooh, I like that.
It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the questions we ask,
Right.
and the values that we prioritize.
So go out there, build amazing things, and help us create an AI-powered world that benefits everyone.
I love it.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.